What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Dude Hines Show. Today is April 7th, 2022. Today is Thursday, so that means we are just 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. It does not seem real that the draft season is creeping up this close on us. Just only 3 weeks away, and there's lots of different possibilities throughout the NFL draft. So this video, I'm going to be doing my first round one NFL mock draft. I'm going to be talking about each of these picks here, some of the best fits for each team, some of the better sleepers of the draft, and some of my picks in this mock draft. Let's go ahead and get started here. So obviously Jacksonville has the first pick of the season back-to-back years. It's looking more and more likely as we get closer to the draft. It's going to be edge for Michigan, Aidan Hutchinson. I think that'd be a very good pick for Jacksonville. Some people think they should go offensive line. Their offensive line isn't great, but they did bring in Brandon Sheriff from Washington. And they also did, franchise tag Cam Robinson. So I think they might go Hutchinson here, mainly because they kind of attacked offensive line already in the offseason. So with the second pick here is Detroit, and they take Travon Walker, the edge from Georgia. Travon Walker is one of those guys who's kind of been rising up draft boards these past couple of weeks. He was always considered a top 10 pick, for these past few months. But he's passing Kayvon Thibodeaux. He's passing. Some would say, Ikem Ekwonu, the offensive tackle from NC State. But the Lions have had a horrible defense for years. And I think getting Travon Walker is a step in the right direction for Detroit to, slowly improve their defense. I think it'd be a good pick here for the Lions at number 2. I mentioned Ikem Ekwonu, and he actually goes here with the third overall pick to Houston. A big reason why in the 2020 season, when they had Deshaun Watson as a starting quarterback, they only won 4 games. A big reason of that was because their offensive line was so horrible. When you start looking at the worst offensive lines around the league, obviously people think about the Bengals, but the Texans are not far behind at all. Watson's been one of the most sacked quarterbacks ever since he came into the league. And regardless if your quarterback is Davis Mills, or if you draft somebody, or whoever it is, you need to have a good offensive line, or your quarterback will not succeed. So I think getting Ikem Ekwonu here with the third pick overall is a very good selection here by the Houston Texans. Number 4 is New York Jets, and they take Ahmad Gardner, the corner from Cincinnati, also known as Sauce Gardner. The Jets and the Giants absolutely love Sauce Gardner. They've had meetings with him, and I feel like he's going to get drafted to one of those teams. If he slips to 5, I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants took him there. But when you look at this Jets team, the Jets, they bring in Robert Saleh, a new head coach this past season. He just had his first year this past year, coming from San Francisco, being their defense coordinator. The Jets' defense was horrible, and he's not going to allow that defense to be horrible again. So he brings in arguably the best corner in the draft, and Sauce Gardner here with the 4th overall pick to New York, and really help this Jets secondary. I really like that pick there for the Jets. Number 5 is the Giants, and they take offensive tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal. Some people would say quarterback. I'm not against taking quarterback here if Malik Willis is available, which he is. There's yet to be a quarterback taken here with the 5th overall pick. But it's looking like Brian Daboll trusts in Daniel Jones as of right now. So they probably want to take a quarterback here in the first round. But getting offensive lineman like Evan Neal is great. The Giants are another team whose offensive line has been horrendous these past several seasons. And it's been a part of an issue why Daniel Jones has just not been able to be good for the Giants so far. So getting Evan Neal here with a 5th pick, I think is a great pickup here for the New York Giants. 6 is where it gets interesting. Most people think Malik Willis will be the first quarterback taken. I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett, he kind of fits this Panthers team more than Malik Willis does. The Malik Willis hype has been, crazy these past couple of months, really ever since the combine. And it's very interesting when you look at these quarterbacks. If you ask 5 people who the top 5 quarterbacks are, you're going to have 5 different answers. This quarterback class is really up in the air. But I think ultimately Pickett will be the first quarterback taken. He'll go to the Panthers at 6th. And something else I don't think people are really talking about enough. Kenny Pickett originally committed to Temple University. The head coach at that time at Temple University is the Panthers' current head coach, Matt Rule. I think that also plays a factor in that as well. And I think some people might say, well, Kenny Pickett at 6, he might be reach, which, I could kind of agree with that. But maybe the Panthers trade back and still get Pickett. Whether it's 6, 16, 11, wherever it is, if the Panthers would decide to trade back, ultimately, I think they get Kenny Pickett with their first round choice. It'll be very interesting to see, this pick here, because I kind of think this is where the madness happens. in the draft. As we continue here with the 7th pick, the New York Giants actually pick again. They have 2 first-round picks, and they traded with the Bears last season when the Bears got Justin Fields in the first round. And when the Giants' 2nd pick, they take LSU corner Derek Stingley, a guy who is one of the best corners in the draft and will really help, this Giants defense. They go offensive tackle with Evan Neal with the 1st pick, and then Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU, arguably the best corner in this draft. Some people say he might be. Over Sauce Gardner, getting him here at 7 is great value here for the New York Giants. Number 8 is the Atlanta Falcons, and I think this could be where Malik Willis goes drafted here with the 8th overall pick. I know the Falcons don't desperately need a quarterback, and they could really use wide receivers. I wouldn't be shocked if a guy like maybe Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave was chosen here with the 8th overall pick. But Malik Willis, to me, I feel like he's too good of a player for Atlanta to pass up. They signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal, and the Falcons head coach is Arthur Smith, the offense coordinator in Tennessee, while Mariota was with the Titans. So that's something, to look at. Maybe they have lots of chemistry. Maybe they fully believe in Mariota. But I think if Malik Willis is there with the 8th pick, you got to pull the trigger of your Atlanta and go ahead and take your future franchise quarterback by taking Malik Willis with the 8th overall pick. As we continue here at 9th overall, the Seattle Seahawks take Kayvon Thibodeaux, the edge rusher from Oregon. It seems like he keeps dropping. If you were to look at somebody's mock draft 2 or 3 months ago, somebody might even had him as the 1st overall pick. Now it's not a guarantee that he's going to be in the top 10. Looking at some of his, questions he's, answered at, the combine and, different meetings and stuff like that and visits. Lots of people think he might be uncoachable. So he's dropping here 9 to Seattle, and they can, use some help at edge. That Carlos Dunlap experience didn't really work out, trading to get him from Cincinnati. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett is available here or if Malik Willis is available here. Would not be shocked one bit if they, pull the trigger and take their franchise quarterback as well. They could also use offensive linemen. They could use wide receivers because there's talks they might trade, DK Metcalf or maybe even Tyler Lockett. So who knows there? When you start looking at the team needs for Seattle, it really starts piling up quickly. They could really use just about anything here with a nice overall pick, but they take Kayvon Thibodeaux, the edge rusher from Oregon. The 10th pick, the New York Jets, they have 2 picks in the top 10. And take Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton. I love this pick here. It's tremendous value. One of the best value picks in the draft. Kyle Hamilton is really, one of the best players in the draft. Not just at his position, but in the players in general. And the fact that the Jets get him here, the 10th overall pick, is an amazing value. You get him and Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. You're looking at a very young, corner and safety duo who could, terrorize the league for years to come. I love this pick here by Hamilton going to the Jets. That's a 10th overall pick. I mentioned Chris Olave just several minutes ago, talking what if he maybe goes to the Seahawks. This even talks about maybe the Jets trying to get a wide receiver at number 10. But Chris Olave here goes to number 11 to Washington. They have Curtis Samuel. They brought in this last year from Carolina. He was hurt, but even when he was healthy, he was not what, Washington fans expected. Terry McLaurin's is going to be a free agent soon. You don't know if he's going to re-sign. Go ahead and get, your possible wide receiver of the future, maybe a replacement for Terry McLaurin, depending how much money he wants. And you get Chris Olave, who some consider the best wide receiver in this class, but it's very interesting. You look at some wide receiver boards. Some people have Chris Olave number 1, but some people will have Chris Olave maybe even 3 or 4. It's very interesting, and it just kind of proves how up in the air this draft is compared to other years. But Washington takes Olave here with the 11th pick overall. Really like that pick there by Washington. 12 is the Minnesota Vikings. They can use defensive tackle. And when you look at this, list here still available, you can make a case that Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia, is the best player available. And they take him in with a 12th overall pick. They desperately need defensive tackle. They desperately need, help on defense. Their defense is just so inconsistent. And it should be way better than what it is. Looking at this, Vikings roster, they lost some of these guys. In free agency, they traded to get some defense tackles the past couple of years, and they haven't really, turned out. So I think any Jordan Davis here with a 12th pick is a pretty nice pickup here by Minnesota. 13, it's Houston, with that trade with the Cleveland Browns when they traded Deshaun Watson to Cleveland. When you look at it here, they could really use wide receiver. There's talks about them possibly trading Brandon Cooks. I think they could wide receiver here, and Garrett Wilson. I think that's a great fit here for Houston, getting him with a 13th pick overall. It's a great pickup here by Houston, getting Garrett Wilson with a 13th pick overall. 14 is the Baltimore Ravens. And maybe they go wide receiver here. Maybe if Garrett Wilson, of course, Olave is here, maybe they pull the trigger and take a, wide receiver. But I think they go offensive tackle here. Charles Cross from Mississippi State. They lost Villanueva in the offseason. And when you look at the Ravens this past season, their offensive line was far worse than people, give them credit for. It was horrendous at times. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go offensive lineman here with the 14th pick overall. 15, the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously the Eagles and the Saints, made a big trade a couple of days ago where, the Eagles heading into the draft had 3 first-round picks. They actually traded one of those to the Saints, and the Saints gave them a ton of picks, for next year's draft as well and years following. But they get Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. Some people think he might even be the best wide receiver in this draft class. And him here at 15, I think it's tremendous value for the Eagles. I know they drafted Devonte Smith last year, but I still think they could use some help. Whether the quarterback is going to be Jalen Hurts, Minshew, maybe they draft somebody next year. Who knows? They need to have good wide receivers. Getting Drake London from USC here at 15 is a great pickup here by Philadelphia. 16, like I said, the Saints trade up, only a couple spots up, and it's so interesting because you don't know who they're going to get. It's like, well, they gave up a ton of picks. You would think they're going to get somebody very, very valuable, and you start thinking, well, maybe they tried to get a quarterback. But then you start looking at the Saints, they could really use wide receiver. They have Michael Thomas, who didn't play a single snap last year, but aside from that, they really don't have anybody. And you start thinking more, well, they just lost Teron Armstead to the Miami Dolphins in the offseason. And I think that's where they go here. I think that's where they go, offense tackle with a 16th pick. They take Trevor Penning from University of Northern Iowa. I like this pick here by the Saints. I just don't know if I would have, offered that much because when you start thinking about it, I think Trevor Penning really makes the most sense because when, they jump the Chargers, you could use offensive line help and jumping them and getting your guy here at 16. I think that's good, but I still kind of think they probably gave up too much to more than likely get Penning here with a 16 overall pick. But I think that's where they go here, but I wouldn't be shocked if they maybe want a wide receiver, depending if like Chris Olave is available there. But they take Trevor Penning with a 16th pick. 17, the Chargers take Jameson Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. And it's one of those things, well, you look at the Chargers, they are probably the most improved team compared to last season. They signed J.C. Jackson. They traded to get Khalil Mack. They've done tons of other moves as well. But when you look at it, they have Keenan Allen, who's getting up there in years. They have Mike Williams, who they just signed to a 3-year deal. I think they draft, a wide receiver early, depending who's available here to 17th pick. They get Jameson Williams. I know lots of Chargers fans like him quite a bit. That's another weapon for Herbert, and that's just somebody else that's going to be very hard to stop on this Chargers team, making them even more bigger contenders, not just in the AFC, but in the NFL in general to win a Super Bowl. I love that pick there by the Chargers. 18, the Eagles take Devonte Wyatt, the defense tackle from Georgia. I think this makes a little bit of sense here. We already saw the Eagles attack wide receiver early on, getting Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. They released Fletcher Cox, but, it's looking like they're going to, re-sign him, and he's getting up there in years. And I think Devonte Wyatt would be a good replacement for Fletcher Cox to be the next, good defensive tackle for the Eagles in the next 5 to 10 years. Great pick there by Philadelphia. 19, I said maybe the Saints took a quarterback at 16, but instead I took Trevor Penning. The fact that Matt Corral, the quarterback at Ole Miss, is available, it's very interesting. I could see the Saints, drafting Matt Corral here at 19, but they just signed Andy Dalton to a 1-year deal, and they signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year extension, so you don't know. But it's one of those things. Lots of teams like these 5th-year options with, first-round quarterbacks who are taken. So I think that might have a play in it as well. Personally, I think Jameis Winston is, much better than people give him credit for. So, he was really good this past year when he was healthy. But I think they might pull the trigger here with a quarterback taking Matt Corral at 19th pick overall. And, 20 is the Steelers. And lots of people talk about maybe the Steelers take the quarterback with a 20th pick. I actually have them taking Desmond Ridder, the quarterback of Cincinnati. Some Steelers fans would want Sam Howell here, the quarterback of North Carolina. But it looks like the Steelers kind of like Desmond Ridder a little bit more here at a 20th pick. Desmond Ridder, the more I read about him, it looks like teams, view him higher than some people think. And I saw something that I wouldn't be shocked if he was a top 20 pick. The Steelers have the 20th pick, so I think Ridder goes to the Steelers here with the 20th pick. 21, the Patriots could use some linebacker help, and Devin Lloyd's arguably the best, linebacker here available from Utah. They take him with the 21st pick. 22nd pick overall, the Green Bay Packers, obviously with them trading, Devonte Adams, shocking the NFL world, trading him to the Raiders. They draft, Treylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas. He's a guy who can do, returns. He's a, speedster guy who I think could be very valuable to this Packers offense for several years, kind of replace Devonte Adams in their offense. No one's going to be better than Devonte Adams, whoever they draft, but I think this, can kind of be the replacement for Adams in Green Bay's offense. They take him with a 22nd pick overall. 23, Tyler Linderbaum, arguably the best interior offensive lineman here available. He goes to the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals could definitely use some interior offensive lineman help. Their offensive line is not good. Even though they made some upgrades last year, could still use some work. I take Linderbaum here with a 23rd pick. I love that pick by Arizona. It's great value. And he's one of the best players available and it's a team need. Anytime you do that, it's always a great pick. And this kind of goes for the same thing with the Cowboys. It's the 24th pick. The Cowboys take Zion Johnson, a guard from Boston College. They just lost Connor Williams to the Miami Dolphins, so they can use some guard help. They take Zion Johnson there with a 24th pick. Buffalo Bills, they take a corner here. I think it's more likely they're going to take a corner. They take Trent McDuffie, the corner from Washington. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they took one of the other guys, maybe like Elam or Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson. It's just very interesting because when you look at a team who, they might take that player, but then you got a couple other, players at that same position that they could possibly take as well. But I have McDuffie going there to Buffalo at 25. 26, I have the Titans taking Jermaine Johnson, the edge from Florida State. He's one of those guys who, fallen in this mock draft. And, the Titans defense is much better than people give them credit for. They have a very underrated defensive line. But it's one of those things, it's just too good of a player to pass up here with 26 by the Titans taking Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State. 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take Kenyon Green, the guard from Texas A&M. And when you look at, the Buccaneers, Tom Brady retired for like a month and he comes back. They were able to re-sign some of their own guys. They re-signed, Ryan Jensen, Ali Marpet retired. Alex Kappa signed with the Bengals. I think they need interior offensive line help. I think they take Kenyon Green here with the 27th pick overall. The Packers with a 28th pick. Like I said, they have 2 first-round picks due to the Devonte Adams trade. I think they take George Karlaftis, the edge rusher from Purdue. Looking at, in the offseason, they kind of lost some of their edge rusher help. So I think they take an edge rusher here with a 28th pick. It's a pretty good value pick here for the Green Bay Packers. 29 and 30 both belong to the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's see here. The Kansas City Chiefs with their first-round pick. They take Andrew Booth Jr., the corner from Clemson. I like this pick here by the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if, with one of these 2 picks, maybe they double down on the secondary. Maybe they take a corner and a safety. But, with Tyrann Mathieu more than likely going to be leaving Kansas City, I love this pick here by the Chiefs and really helping their secondary because I don't think it's as good as people think it is. And 30, this was really a toss-up. I went back and forth between a couple of different people here. I went back and forth between George Pickens, Daxton Hill, the safety from Michigan, and a few other people. Ultimately, I went with, George Pickens. The Chiefs really like Pickens. They are linked to him a lot. When you look at Pickens, the teams he's been, visited to, has talked to the Chiefs, one of the top teams. And, they're also, in the trade talks trying to get, DK Metcalf. I don't think it's going to work out, but that proves they're really trying to get another wide receiver to, have for Patrick Mahomes. George Pickens is one of those guys who kind of fallen due to injury issues. And I think the Chiefs taking him with a 30th pick overall. And next up, we had the 2 final picks of the first round. The first one is of the Bengals, and the second one is of the Lions. Lions get that from the trade by trading Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And when you look at the Bengals here with the 31st pick, Kaiir Elam is available here, and also Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn, is available here as well. David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan. And to me, I had the Bengals taking Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn. When you look at his PFF grades, they are off the charts. He is one of the most underrated corners in this draft. Despite him still being a first-round pick, he's very underrated. He's one of the only corners to really shut down Jamar Chase throughout his time at LSU. And when you look at him and Elam, it's really a toss-up to me. I just went with McCreary here over Elam. But I really like this pick here. I think it'll be a great addition to this Bengals team. And they don't desperately need corner, but it's one of those things. I just feel like the Bengals, they're more than likely going to take whoever shouldn't be there, whoever drops. Keep an eye on the Bengals to draft one of those guys. But I take Roger McCreary here, the corner from Auburn, with a 31st pick overall. And the last pick of the first round, the Detroit Lions. I really thought about this one a lot because since Ikem is still available here with a 32nd pick, I thought about the Lions possibly taking him here because, the Jeff Okudah experience hasn't really worked out so far for Detroit. But ultimately, I had them taking Georgia linebacker Nakobe Dean. I know lots of Lions fans like Dean here a lot. The Lions have been linked to Dean quite a bit. Like I said earlier, this Lions team, their defense, and struggled for years. There's been a big reason why they haven't, been in the playoffs more than what they have. It's a big reason why they haven't won as many games with Stafford. And when you look at this Lions team, they bring in Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia, and they also, bring in the edge rusher, Trayvon Walker from Georgia, two guys from Georgia who are going to be very, very good and instant upgrades to this Lions defense. And when you start looking at this Lions team, they have lots of young guys, and that's just two steps in the right direction for this defense, for the Lions to, hopefully get better these next several years. So that was kind of, my round one NFL mock draft. This is my 1.0. I'll be doing these once a week until the draft on Thursdays. Next mock draft, I will be doing a round one mock draft with trades. It'll be very interesting. Lots of trades in that one, but it kind of about does it. If you're new to the channel or if you've seen my videos before, I would really, really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel. I thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all next time on the Sports Studio.